Donkey Kong, and now I'll get you too, Junior.
I'm Donkey Kong Jr., and that's my papa.
Mr. Arcade, I need help. My husband won't come home.
Pac-Man, I can help.
Get him!
Do you remember the times when arcades ruled the world? An era when the only thing you ever wanted was to have a good time with a pocket full of quarters your parents gave you. After school, you and your friends would storm the arcades, lining up in hopes of conquering the pixelated world and beating the scores. Feels nostalgic, right? So today, let's rewind to the 1980s. Back when it wasn't about realistic graphics or endless microtransactions, but about simplicity and fun. It was about innocent, pure, adrenaline-pumping gameplay. If you were not attempting to outsmart ghosts, stack blocks, or avoid barrels, you were most likely waiting in line to do just that. These classic games surely built the foundation of the gaming scene as we know it today. So grab your joystick and your favorite snacks as we embark on an epic journey through the 10 most famous video games of the 1980s. Game 1. Pac-Man.
Mr. Arcade, I need help. My husband won't come home.
Pac-Man, I can help.
Waka Waka Waka. We are all too familiar with the small yellow circle that gained notoriety by chomping its way there. Pac-Man entered the gaming scene in the 1980s by Namco and took it by storm, instantly becoming a pop culture icon. Toru Iwatani created Pac-Man, a quirky little pie-shaped character whose sole objective was to avoid ghostly enemies and eat dots. It had a little surprising twist. Once you have powered up and mastered it, you could easily turn the tables and eat the pesky ghosts chasing you. This vibrant yet simple game broke up the hold of space shooter games that dominated arcades at the time. It was an easy, enjoyable game that anyone could easily get into, but only a select few could really master it. Overall, it offered a fresh escape from your usual space battles. You were on the edge of your seat during the exciting cat and mouse hunt. Before long, Pac-Man mania had taken over and was present in TV series, music, and even fashion. The famous hit song Pac-Man Fever was written by the musical duo Buckner and Garcia. It peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Pac-Man became more than just a game for many people. It was an experience through which they created lasting memories with friends. Game 2. Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, and now I'll get you too, Junior.
I'm Donkey Kong Jr., and that's my papa. I'm trying to save him, and boy, do I need...
Let us swing into action with the platformer, Donkey Kong. Created by Shigeru Miyamoto for Nintendo and released in 1981. The game's storyline was simple yet captivating. All he had to do was control Mario. Yes, this Mario. And the mission was to navigate a construction site to rescue Pauline from the clutches of a treacherous giant gorilla named, you guessed it, Donkey Kong. With each level, the difficulty and challenges increased as you scaled ladders and leapt over barrels, thus requiring you to be quick on your reflexes. Since Mario was initially presented as a simple carpenter, his story was the game changer. Players were captivated by the game for years to come because of its catchy music and straightforward yet captivating mechanics. Donkey Kong was like the blueprint for the platformer genre, and it became one of the most iconic and influential games in history. Additionally, Donkey Kong influenced innumerable subsequent games, spin-offs, sequels, and even a wide range of TV series and merchandise. Donkey Kong is a symbol of iconic pop culture and had a significant impact on the video game industry as it exists today. Its legacy cannot be overstated. Game 3. Space Invaders.
So many different games to play. We especially like Space Invaders. Zapping those little devils from outer space.
Now let's blast off with Space Invaders, arguably the most 80s game of the era. With its action-packed and fast-paced gameplay, it quickly dominated the arcade scene. It was designed by Tomohiro Nishikado and developed and published by Taito. Picture this. There is an invasion of aliens who have only one mission: to take over the Earth. You are now the savior of your beloved home, and your task is to use your laser cannon to destroy them so they cannot finish their mission. It sounds heroic and awesome, doesn't it? One of the earliest shoot-'em-ups, it was both charming and challenging because of its simple design. Players were glued to their seats for hours as they tried their hardest to beat the highest scores in this straightforward but incredibly addictive game. Every game seemed like an epic battle because of the increasing difficulty. As you were shooting the aliens, the pace quickened. They moved and fired back at you faster. This scene created a heart-pounding experience with a rush of adrenaline. This game catalyzed the arcade craze and helped pave the way for the modern shooter genre. This was a cultural phenomenon rather than just a typical game. There were long lines of players waiting outside to play it just once. Here is a fun fact. It actually led to a coin shortage in Japan as a whole. They consequently built specialized arcades that were exclusively equipped with Space Invader machines. Its popularity established the benchmark for interactive gameplay and sparked a flurry of related shooter games. Game 4. Tetris.
You don't need to touch your
Tetris is the next well-known game on our list, so get ready for some twists and turns. You might be surprised, but the game was actually created by the Soviet Union in 1985, with credit going to a software engineer named Alexei Pajitnov. It was such a simple game with a brilliant puzzle genre. You just had to stack the falling blocks to clear lines. But the catch was that these blocks, called tetraminos, were of different shapes and sizes. The challenge of this game was the speed with which the blocks fell. It increased as you progressed through the levels. It gave a perfect balance of intensity and relaxation. Tetris sparked a global phenomenon because it was too addictive to simply not play. Each time you cleared a line, you wanted to pat yourself on the back. Plus, the catchy theme music was irresistible. Not love. Among its many variations and modern adaptations, such as the Tetris effect, this game has served as an inspiration for a number of other games, including Dr. Mario, Columns, and Puyo Puyo. This game evolved, but kept the essence. This game remains ideal for both casual and die-hard gamers because it promotes strategic thinking and fast reflexes. It will keep you entertained and calm whether you are playing it on your phone or gaming console. Tetris is that game that keeps us hooked and captivated, block by block. Being a global sensation, it still has the power to attract new fans. Game 5. Super Mario Bros. Jumping into the next well-known game on our list is Super Mario Bros., made by Shigeru Miyamoto for Nintendo in 1985. Goomba by Goomba, this tiny plumber trampled his way into our hearts and forever redefined the genre of side-scrolling platformers. For the first time ever, players were introduced to the fantasy world of Mushroom Kingdom, where Mario, the brave plumber, embarked on a quest to save Princess Peach from the evil turtle Bowser. The levels were very adventurous and promised more vivid visuals and fluid control. It was full of a variety of colorful landscapes, had catchy music, and was upbeat overall. Super Mario Bros. Was an adventure game that went beyond conventional gaming. Power-ups like the Super Mushroom and Fire Flower increased the action, and Goombas and Koopa Troopas established themselves as recognizable enemies in the Mario world. Gaining proficiency was easy, but becoming an expert required a lot of commitment, and players could not get enough of it because of this balance. Not only did Mario save the princess, but it also saved Nintendo from financial ruin, enabling it to become the entertainment giant it is today. Mario, sporting a mustache and a signature red hat, became a global pop culture icon, and the game continued to expand to include sequels, spin-offs, and even films and television series. Super Mario Bros. Will always be a timeless game that is worth playing again. Game 6. The Legend of Zelda.
It's the Legend of Zelda and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers too.
Now let's dive into one of the first big open-world adventures. Introduced in 1986 by Nintendo, The Legend of Zelda told the story of a young hero named Link, whose mission was to save Princess Zelda and vanquish the evil Ganondorf that ruled the Kingdom of Hyrule. It was a one-of-a-kind gaming experience, offering a world packed with dungeons, secrets, and items to explore and discover. As the first game to combine action and exploration, The Legend of Zelda created a new paradigm shift in gaming that would last for decades. What made Zelda truly beloved was that it gave players a sense of freedom, packed with adventure and surprises. The hidden secrets kept the players hooked for hours to come. Each dungeon was a mini-adventure, and the enemies were fierce, adding to its beauty. Furthermore, nothing compares to the sense of achievement you get when you finally solve a challenging puzzle or defeat a formidable boss. This precious game set the bar for open-world adventure games in the future. It is no surprise that the game has grown into one of the most commercially successful and critically acclaimed gaming franchises of all time. With its unique gameplay, immersive worlds, and engrossing storytelling, Zelda has grown to become a pillar of Nintendo's legacy, inspiring innumerable subsequent games. Game 7. Frogger. Next up, we have a rather simple game. Or is it? Frogger was released in 1981 by Konami. The mission was simple: cross the road, or navigate your way through brutal waterfalls. Look out for the cars and challenging obstacles, and don't get squished by them. It had some amazing and vibrant graphics with quirky sound effects, leading to immersive gameplay that kept people hooked. It was a piece of cake to start, but it took a lot of effort to master it. The game was made to increase difficulty and make it more challenging with each passing level. This added more thrill to the game. Frogger became an overnight success among gamers. It was relatable and straightforward gameplay, appealing to a huge and diverse audience. It was easy to jump right in, but it was much harder to get your technique down pat. Each new accomplishment set a new sense of satisfaction among the players. It wasn't just fun. It was nostalgic and memorable, and players of all ages were attached to their cute little frog hero. Frogger is still a pop culture icon, appearing in TV shows such as Seinfeld, where George Costanza hilariously attempts to cross a busy street using a Frogger arcade machine. Frogger continues to captivate players to this day, serving as a reminder that sometimes all you need for an amazing game is a frog, a busy road, and a ton of heart-pounding fun. Game 8. Metroid. Now let's venture into the depths of space with Metroid. It made its debut in 1986. In this eerie science fiction game, you take control of Samus Aran, a mysterious helmeted space bounty hunter, as she set out to defeat the evil space pirates on the alien-infested planet of Zebes. Metroid had an extremely haunting soundtrack, which added to its eeriness. It was a journey filled with thrills and suspense, which drew players into its world like no other. It was nothing like other platform games of its time. It dared to be different, not having a linear path, and it allowed its players to roam around the planet at their own pace. They were free to hunt down different power-ups like Morph Ball, Ice Beam, and the classy and iconic Varia suit. But the most shocking and amazing thing about this game was the character reveal. The fact that the fearless bounty hunter was a woman left people speechless. I know today we have many female protagonists in games, but this was the 80s, and strong female characters were almost unheard of. Anyhow, this revolutionary revelation fundamentally altered the way that the gaming industry was perceived. The success of Samus Aran paved the way for more female characters to lead in major franchises. Metroid not only introduces players to a whole new genre, but also defines it. This genre, comprised of a blend of platforming, adventurous exploration, and surprising power-ups, defined the genre of Metroidvania. The genre was like the blueprints of various hit games like Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Hollow Knight, and Axiom Verge. Game 9. Contra. An unending stream of adversaries, one mission, and 2 commandos. Are you prepared for an intense blast fest? Contra was an intense running game that included running and shooting at the waves of enemies at the same time. It was released by Konami in 1987. It was extremely difficult because you only had a few lives and no margin for error. The 2 commando roles you could choose to play were either Bill Mad Dog Riser or Lance Scorpion Beam. The mission was to take down the evil Red Falcon organization. Talk about a high-stakes adventure. Do you recall the well-known Konami code that gave you an additional 30 lives? Man, that made you feel unstoppable. So what made Contra so loved? Well, isn't it obvious? It was all about that intense gameplay, multitasking through the never-ending enemies while dodging their attacks and those obstacles placed in your way. And the major challenge was 1 life. Once you were hit, you were cooked. It just kept you coming back for more and more. For its time, Contra was groundbreaking. It set the bar for action-packed games that included shooters and countless running guns. Some of these are Metal Slug, Gunstar Heroes, and Cuphead. Each of these games borrowed Contra's intense gameplay style and dual-player action. Game 10. Double Dragon. Last but not least, the game that introduced us to the beat-em-up genre. Double Dragon, which was released in 1987, had a rather cliché yet interesting storyline. 2 brothers, Billy and Jimmy Lee, had to fight their way through the city, contending against various gangs in order to rescue a kidnapped girl named Marion. Each level had a rustic, urbanistic appeal, from seedy alleys to industrial sites. It added to the raw, urban vibes of this game, and on top of it, it had a unique mix of hand-to-hand combat and weapon pickups. Some of these cool weapons were baseball bats and knives, which gave the feeling of an action movie rather than a game. To top that off, there was the cooperative mode. This allowed you and your buddy to join forces and fight side by side, making it twice as fun. The street fighting moves made sure to add more thrill. Double Dragon was that game that set the standard for co-op beat-em-up genre games like Streets of Rage and Final Fight. It showed us how playing along with a buddy can make the fun more awesome, especially in the arcade. It created unforgettable memories for gamers all around the world. Wow, that was one wild ride through the 1980s. These games weren't just simple entertainment. These were like the blueprint and paved the way for everything we know and love about gaming today. So next time when you hold your controller, remember these classic old school hits that walked so that your favorite games today could run. Drop your thoughts about which game you love the most. Hit the like button, share with your fellow gamers, and do not forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep on gaming, keep leveling up.